Ate Ella, naka-mute ka.
Naka-mute pala ako, sorry. Again, isang mainit na hapon sa ating lahat. Divinistas, ramdam nyo na ba ang summer heat? Ako dito sa aming terrace, ramdam ko na ang summer heat. Pero mas iinit pa ang ating hapon ngayon dahil sa ating mga makakasama at dahil din sa ating event ngayon, ang SIKLAB The DWCC Speakers Conference with the theme Sparkling Conversations. This is your host, Ella Salcedo, ang twelang inhinyero. Speaking of sparkling conversation, still different from our previous events, as this event will touch previous topics na talaga namang relevant sa ating buhay. Pattern ditong event na ito sa sikat na TED Talks with the aim of inspiring and empowering in only 20 minutes per speaker. So ready na ba kayo, Divinista? So wag na nating patagalin. Our first speaker is Miss Hannah Angelica Makalintal. Miss Hannah is a proud alumna of Sustainable Development and grassroots activism. Southeast Asian Mission, the University of Nebraska in Omaha. Currently, she works as a senior high school teacher at the Department of Education, Oriental Mindoro Division, where she teaches literature and social sciences subjects. She aims to empower her students and introduce them to the world of literature and humanities as a tool for nation building. Ms. Hannah is presently pursuing Master of Arts in Education, major in literature. She juggles her time in teaching, community development, and graduate studies, on watching Netflix series, and bugging her younger siblings. Let us welcome the first speaker to sparkle meaningful and relevant conversations, Ms. Hannah Angelica Makalintal, with her Public Service Development talk.
Ayan, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me quite well. Happy 75th founding anniversary, Divine Word College of Calapan. And kagaya ng sabi ni Ella kanina, I am a proud alumna of Divine Word College of Calapan, but 2016. Medyo matagal na, no? So for today, gaya ng pakilala ni Ella kanina, I will be talking about public service. Pero bago yun, gusto ko muna kayong kamustahin. So, sa mga viewers natin ngayon sa Facebook at sa mga facilitators na sa Zoom na to, so, kamusta kayong lahat? So, I hope okay lang kayo, safe din ang mga families nyo, at ligtas tayo mula sa pandemya. My next question is, I would like to dig deeper sa ating kumustahan level. So, kung kinamusta ko kayo personally, so next question will be, kamusta love life natin? O, di ba, love life agad? So, next po tayo, kamusta love life nyo? Sige nga, I would like to see some comments dito sa ating live, kasi nakaantabi na sa Facebook. Kamusta love life nyo? Anyone wants to answer? Kamusta ang inyong love life? Happy ba? Masaya ba? Or malungkot? Single? Same. O, diba? Same. Single. Diba? So, ayan. Okay pa naman. Very good. Mahal niya ang sarili niyo. Yes, that's correct. You have to love yourself. Baka merong magsagot dyan. Luhaan, sugatan, di mapakinabangan. Grabe naman yon. Sobrang lala naman yon. Luhaan, sugatan, di mapakinabangan. So, Thank you so much for answering. So, kamusta ang love life natin? More often than not, kapag tinanong ko kayo kung kamusta ang love life nyo, ang isinagot nyo, di ba? Ang sinagot nyo, ayan, single po ako, masaya po ako kahit mag-isa ako, medyo luhaan po at sugatan, at medyo hindi mapakinabangan. So, ganun yung ating konsepto kapag pinag-uusapan natin ang love life. Pero have you ever wondered na ang love life, kapag sinabing love life, hindi siya nakabox sa konsepto ng romantic relationship? Diba? Kasi pag sinabing love life, oy, jowa-jowa, opposite sex or same sex or significant others, no? So, diba, kapag pinag-usapan ng love life, ang nasa isip agad natin, pagmamahal sa jowa, pagmamahal sa significant other natin. Pero, have you ever wondered na yung love life na ito ay pagmamahal para sa ating bayan? Diba? So, for today, we will be digging deeper about kung kamusta ang love life nyo at pagmamahal nyo sa inyong bayan. So, public service. So, siguro, na-invite ako ng ating mga student council officers, ng student affairs office, kasi alam nila na I'm into public service. I'm a public servant. And yes, I am Ate Hannah Angelica Macalintal. I am Hannah. You can call me Ate or just Hannah, whatever you prefer. And ako si Hannah, ako ay isang lingkod bayan. I am a young public servant. Pero ano nga ba kapag sinabi nating public service? So kapag public service, sa Tagalog ay serbisyo publiko. Andyan yung paglilingkod natin sa ating bayan. Nang unang-una, walang hinihintay na kapalit. Paglilingkod sa bayan ng pagmamahal. At I would like to share two sections dito sa aking public service talk. Unang-una, next slide tayo. So unang-una, siguro na-invite ako simply because I am, next slide, na-invite ako dahil ako isang development worker. No? So development worker. As a development worker, so ito yung mga photos na ginagawa namin. So, kagaya ng sabi ni Ella kanina, I am a member of Keep Hope Alive, a proud volunteer of Keep Hope Alive, and this is what we do sa aming mga komunidad. So, ito yung mga photos na karaniwang ginagawa namin ng paglilingkod namin sa bayan. So, umaakyat kami sa mga komunidad, nagbibigay tulong sa mga nangangailangan, especially sa mga marginalized at sa mga most vulnerable sectors ng ating lipunan. So, sino ba yung mga vulnerable sectors at yun yung mga nasa laylayan ng ating lipunan? Andyan yung mga tao na nakakaranas ng matinding kahirapan, number 1. Nandyan yung ating mga katutubong mangyan. At yung main target ng aming organization is to help those people na nasa laylayan para makaangat sila. Makaangat not just for themselves, hindi lang para sa kanilang sarili, kundi para sa kanilang komunidad. Kasi the goal of public service is to not just serve that person. Diba? Kapag naglingkod ka sa isang tao, napaglingkuran mo siya, tapos na ba doon ang public service? Siyempre, hindi pa. Kasi the real essence of public service is when your service to that person or to that specific group of people transcends to greater heights. Ibig sabihin, kapag naglingkod ka sa isang tao, you have to make sure na yung tao na yun, ma-replicate niya, na may ripple effect sa paglilingkod. And that is what we do sa Keep Hope Alive. We make a difference. So, ako ang isang development worker, sabi ko. And lagi, para-parate, kapag nai-invite ako sa mga talks, lagi akong sinasabihan na, oh, share ka naman ng stories mo as a development worker. Share ka ng stories mo as a volunteer of Keep Hope Alive na umaakyat na almost 8 hours sa mga komunidad at tumutulong sa mga katutubo. So, share ako. But for this specific talk, I would like to focus on this specific area na never ko pang na-share kahit kanino as a public school teacher. Yes, I am a public school teacher. I am a public school teacher and I've been teaching sa Department of Education for almost 4 years now. Pa-4 na taon ko na po sa DepEd ngayong 2021. Yes, ngayon 2021, June 13. I can still remember it. I still vividly remember it. So, public school teacher. Now, on the comment section, I want you to write down, ano ang inyong aalala? What comes to your mind when you hear the word public school teacher? Sige nga. Ano ang inyong mga naaalala? Ano yung mga unang pumapasok sa inyong isipan kapag naririnig nyo ang salitang public school teacher? Ano, nagbebenta ng ice candy? Ng tusino? Naglalako na kung ano-ano? Nangungurot? Ayan. Meron nag-comment, pangalawang ina, pangalawang ama. That's nice. And we have very different opinion kung ano nga ba ang isang public school teacher. For this specific talk, because our core topic is public service. Andito ako para sabihin kung ano ba ang isang public school teacher, ano ang ginagawa niya para maglingkod sa ating bayan. So, usually, kapag may talk, nagpapalit ako ng aking damit. So, yung pangmalakasan yung sinusuot ko, naka-formal, or hindi kaya naka-org shirt. Pero ngayon, I chose to wear my DepEd school uniform. So, ito po ang school uniform namin sa DepEd. So, ayan, di ba? Pwede ng model. So, ito yung school uniform namin sa DepEd. And kaya ko ito ginawa simply because I wanted to recognize na ganito ang isang public school teacher. Na kapag may nakita kayo sa palengke, na ganito ang suot, try nyo silang batiin. Kahit naka-face mask, try nyong ngumiti sa kanila gamit ang inyong mga mata. Akapin nyo? No, bawal akapin kasi may COVID. Mag-hi kayo, ngitian nyo sila. Kasi a public school teacher, sila yung pinaka-naglilingkod sa ating bayan at sila yung mga underappreciated na mga lingkod bayan natin. So marami nagtatanong sa akin nung naging isang lingkod bayan ako na bakit ka magti-teacher? Unang-una, mahirap yan. Pangalawa, mababa ang sweldo niyan. Pangatlo, siguro, mas marami ka pang pwedeng marating kung hindi ka magti-teacher. Ganon yung lagi nilang sinasabi. Pero, I always respond to those comments saying, why not? Bakit hindi? Bakit hindi ako pwedeng mag-teacher? Di ba? Why not? Sabi nila, sayang daw ako, nag-teacher ka, parang ang dami mong pwedeng marating, ang dami mong pwedeng mapuntahan, ang dami mong kayang gawin kung hindi ka isang teacher. Mag-full-time ka na lang sa development works. I heard many comments na ganun yung sinasabi nila sa akin. Pero I believe na ang pagiging isang pampublikong guro is the core of public service. The core of public service is education. Yes, teachers are our unsung heroes. And yung mga hindi napapakinggan, sila yung mga underappreciated na kahit na ang daming ginagawa sa school, na kahit na underpaid sila, mababalitaan namin sa mga balita, ayun, isang bata sinunod ang kanyang modules. Di ba? So, masakit, di ba? Masakit na ang paglilingkod mo sa bayan, ang paglilingkod mo sa mga bata, ay minsan ay merong negatibong epekto. Siguro, kagaya ng tanong ko sa inyo kanina, kamusta ang love life nyo? Siguro ang una nyong sagot, okay naman po, mahal ko po ang jowa ko, nagmamahalan po kami. Sana kung mahal nyo ang jowa nyo, mahalin nyo rin ang mga teachers nyo. Di ba? Kasi bakit niya naman hindi? Bakit niya naman hindi pwedeng mahalin ang mga teachers nyo? At bakit niya naman hindi ka mag-teacher? So ito yung ilan sa mga dahilan kung bakit ako naging teacher at bakit ini-encourage ko ang mga nanood ngayon to pursue a degree in education or to extend the hands para mas mapatatag ang edukasyon ng ating bansa. So una, dahil siguro malapit ako sa mga kabataan at yung puso ko ay handang maglingkod para sa mga kabataan. Pangalawa, siguro dahil kahit yung mga estudyante namin sa public schools ay sinasabi ng ibang tao na ay mga mahihirap yung mga yan, hindi marunong magbasa, hindi marunong magsulat. Maraming ganyan mga comments mula sa ibang tao na patungkol sa mga public schools. Pero hindi nila alam, public schools are more than those comments. Kasi sa public school, dito namin kinikater, dito namin pinaglilingkuran ang mga nasa laylayan ng lipunan, ang mga marginalized, ang mga most vulnerable sector sa ating lipunan. So itong photo dito, ito yung first year ko as a public school teacher. Unang taon ko bilang isang lingkod bayan. So, sa first year of teaching ko, ako ay taga Victoria, pero na-assign ako sa, so balik tayo sa photo, na-assign ako sa San Teodoro. So, San Teodoro, sobrang layo mula sa hometown ko. So, itong tatlong estudyante sa photo na to, sila yung aking mga honor students. Sila yung aming honor students. In a class of 60, silang tatlo yung honor students. Imagine the joy. At ngayon, I have the same batch of students na I have 62 students at ganun din. Ganun din karami. Di ba? Sobrang dami, so why not? Bakit hindi ka magbiging public school teacher kung sobrang dami ng kaya mong tulungan, sobrang dami ng dapat mo pang paglingkuran? Actually, I have mentioned never pa akong nag-share about pagiging public school teacher ko, pero I believe there is no better way. There is no better way to share what public service is all about than to tell stories on what it means to become a teacher. Diba? Kasi public service. Ano nga ba naman ang mas magandang paraan kung paano mo i-share kung ano ba ang pagiging isang lingkod bayan, kung hindi mo i-share kung ano ang pagiging isang guro. There is no better way to share what public service is all about than to tell stories on what it means to become a public school teacher. So, tanong kayo kanina, anong ibig sabihin ng public school teacher? Ano yung pumapasok sa isip nyo kapag narinig nyo ang salitang public school teacher? So, marami sa inyo ang nag-comment. Thank you so much. Pero, if I would be asked the same question, sabihin ko, tatlong bagay. Public school teacher, pagod. That's correct, pagod. Pero kahit pagod sila, second word is lumalaban. And lastly, naglilingkod. And that is the essence of public service. Na kahit pagod ka, lumalaban ka, patuloy kang naglilingkod. So, tandaan niyo pa ba yung linya sa Panatang Makabayan? Di ba nung elementary kayo, nung high school, lagi niyo nire-recite sa inyong flag ceremony ang Panatang Makabayan. Siguro dahil teacher ako, try na nating mag-quiz ng konti. 3 items lang. Fill in the blanks, no? So, siguro, first item natin. Ang gagawin nyo lang, dugsungan nyo kung ano ba yung nawawalang words. Panatang Makabayan, iniibig ko ang Pilipinas, aking lupang sinilangan. Very good, correct. Second one. Ito, dahil mahal ko ang Pilipinas, ano yung mga dapat mong gawin bilang estudyante? May nag-raise hands. Dahil mahal ko ang Pilipinas, ano yun? Diringgin ko ang payo ng aking mga magulang. Di ba? Susunod ako sa mga batas. And lastly, yung last lang doon, iaalay ko ang aking buhay, pangarap at pagsisikap para saan? Para sa bansang Pilipinas. That is correct. So, yan yung core ng Panatang Makabayan. Panatang Makabayan speaks about our love for our country. Di ba? Iaalay ko ang aking buhay, pangarap at pagsisikap para sa bansang Pilipinas. And this Panatang Makabayan, sana kung atin siyang binibigkas, lagi-lagi, nung tayo elementary, nung tayo high school, na hindi natin makalimutan, sana ay maisabuhay natin kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng Panatang Makabayan. At kung kayo, nung kayo ay elementary, high school, kahit ako, Panatang Makabayan, kami naman, bilang mga lingkod bayan, bilang government employee, tuwing flag ceremony namin, meron din kaming binibigkas na panata, panunumpa ng lingkod bayan. At ito yung mga ilan sa mga paborito kong linya na talagang gagay todo ako lagi sa pagsabi kapag nanunumpa kami sa aming flag ceremony after ng lupang hinirang. So sabi dito, isasaalang-alang ko ang interes ng nakararami bago ang sarili kong kapakanan. This is public service. Bago ang sarili mo, try mong i-consider ang ibang tao. Bago ka mamasyal kasama ang mga kaibigan mo ngayon panahon ng pandemya, isipin mo nakaraan mo sa bahay ng mga matatanda. Isipin mo ang libu-libong kaso at padagdag ng padagdag at dumaraming kaso ng COVID-19. Again, public service is all about putting aside your own interest para sa interest ng mas nakararaming tao. Second line. Second line ng panunumpan ng lingkod bayan na favorite ko is isusulong ko ang mga programang mag-aangat sa antas ng kabuhayan ng mamamayan. Di ba? As a lingkod bayan, as a public servant, as a young public servant, dapat nagke-create tayo ng mga programa para sa ating mga mamamayan. At ako bilang guro, ang programang yun ay programa pang edukasyon. Kasi ang kabuhayan na to ay deeply rooted sa mga pangarap ng aming mga estudyante. Na once na nagturo kami sa kanila, once tinuruan namin sila, we do not teach them na ito dapat ang pangarap mo. Ito dapat ang maging paglaki mo. Ito dapat ang maging business mo. Ito ka dapat paglaki mo. We just simply teach them how to dream. Paano ba mangarap? At sa eskwelahan nagsisimula ang pangarap na yun. Next line is, aktibo ako makikibahagi sa mga dakilang layunin sa lipunan. Ayan. I would like to highlight the word aktibo. Ano ba kapag sinabing aktibo? Di ba? Bibong-bibo. Kayo ba? Di ba? Tayo mga kabataan, lagi tayong tinatanong, anong ambag mo? Di ba? Minsan natanong tayo, ano bang ambag mo? Ay, ang bata-bata mo naman. Minsan nakagalit, di ba? Kasi minsan parang minamalit nila tayo. Pero I am telling you, we have to be proactive. Makisangkot tayo sa mga layunin ng ating lipunan. At anong layunin na yon? Ang general na layunin, umunod ang ating bayan. At paano ka makikiambag doon? Anong ambag mo? You have to take proactive roles. And it doesn't have to be big. Hindi kailangang gusto mo agad, ay, gusto kong baguhin ng Pilipinas. Hindi ganon. Sa iyong pamagitan ng mga simpleng mga hakbang, simple steps, baby steps, yung pagiging proactive, hindi dapat sa isang malaking hakbang na dapat, ito agad ako, ito yung gusto ko. It's a step-by-step process. Di ba? Kung gusto mong baguhin ang Pilipinas, you have to start from within. You have to be proactive yourself. Because public service starts from within. Hindi ka pwedeng maglingkod sa isang malaking group of people kung sarili mo hindi mo mapaglingkuran. Hashtag self-care. Hashtag self-care. Diba? Kasi hindi ka naging aktibo, hindi ka naging vivo. Kung sa sarili mo, down ka lagi. So yan yung third sa pinaka-paborito kong linya sa panunumpan ng lingkod bayan. So next slide, there are two things na natutunan ko na gusto kong i-share sa inyo sa aking pagiging isang public servant. Una, sa pagiging development worker ko, I learned that there is hope. Merong pag-asa. Lagi nilang sinasabi, kabataan, pag-asa yan, kabataan, yan, laban, kabataan tayo, pag-asa, 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 pag-asa. Pero tayo mga kabataan, anong ginagawa natin? We have to reflect on that. Paano tayo makakapaglingkod sa mas maraming tao? Paano tayo magiging pag-asa? Paano tayo magiging duluin ng pag-asa? Dahil technically, frankly speaking, tayo ang inaasahan ng bayan. We are next in line, sabi nga doon sa kanta. We are next in line. And second, matutunan ko kung paano mag-hold on sa hope. Kasi keep hope alive. Yes, keep hope alive. Second, as a public school teacher, I learned how to dream. Kung paano mangarap. Dream na noun and dream na verb. Diba? Kasi ang pangarap na to will lead us somewhere. Turuan mong mangarap ang isang bata and you'll never know kung saan pwedeng makarating ang batang yan. And that is the core of public service. Sticking onto hope and dreaming that our world will be a better place. Our community will be a better place. Pero that will be wasted, totally wasted, kung wala tayong gagawin. So bilang mga kabataan, kailangan nating gumalaw. We have to take proactive role. Now, gusto ko uli kayong tanungin, kamusta ang love life niyo? Kamusta ang love life nyo? Kung sa unang sagot nyo, single, malungkot, masaya, well, we have to reassess and realign our answers. Kamusta ang love life nyo? Kamusta ang relasyon nyo sa ating bayan? Kamusta? Luhaan pa rin ba? Sugatan pa rin ba? Di pa rin daw pakinabangan? Ganun pa rin ba? So we have to reflect kung kamusta ang lagay at status ng ating love life. Big words ba? Parang Ate Hana, parang ang bigat-bigat naman ng mga sinasabi. Parang hindi ko naman matake to. Ano ba, Ate Hana? Freshman pa lang ako. Freshie pa lang ako, Ate Hana. First year ko pa lang sa Divine. Parang ano ba naman ang kaya kong gawin? Kasi kung ganyan ang mentality nyo, I have to tell you, we are never too young. Hindi porke bata ka, wala kang magagawa. You are never too young to lead. You are never too young to serve. Yan ang inyong tatandaan. Kasi in your own simple little ways, kaya mong makatulong. Kaya mong makapag-ambag. Diba? You have to ignite the spark. Diba? Ang title ng ating conference is SIKLAB. SIKLAB. You have to ignite the spark within you. Pasiklabin nyo kung ano man ang meron kayo. Pag-alabin nyo kung ano man ang nasa loob nyo para mag-transcend yung pagmamahal nyo sa sarili nyo sa pagmamahal nyo sa inyong bayan. Siguro, if I will be asked, kamusta ang love life ko? Context ng paglilingkod sa bayan, masakit. Kasi sino ba naman ang hindi masasaktan na walang ospital ang mga tao? Nakagbabasa ko CNN kaninang umaga. Kasi morning routine ko magbasa ng news. Sabi doon, ang isang healthcare worker namili sa kanyang 4 na pasyente kung sinong bibigyan niya ng oxygen. Binigay niya dun sa isa, namatay yung 3. Diba? Masakit. Kamusta ang love life ko? Masakit. Kasi natakot tayo ng China. Masakit kasi ang plastic pollution, nandiyan pa rin, palala ng palala. Masakit kasi maraming hindi rehistradong kabataan. At sana, kung tayo ay nasasaktan, sana ay yung sakit na to, yung pain na to, gawin nating shield, gawin nating armor, kung paano ba tayo mas makakatulong sa bayan. Hindi ka rehistrado, masakit, magparehistro ka. Maraming malala plastic pollution, tumulong ka. Kasi yung plastic waste. Diba? Sino nga ba naman kasi ang hindi masasaktan? Pero tandaan nyo, kapag nasaktan tayo sa isang bagay, ibig sabihin, mahal natin. Tama? Nasaktan ka sa jowa mo kasi mahal mo siya. Ganoon din sa akin. Nasaktan ako sa bayan ko kasi mahal ko siya. At sana wala nating kalimutan yung essence ng public service ay pagmamahal. Pagmamahal. Love. Muli, ako si Hana Angelica Macalental. You can call me Ate Hana. I am a young public servant at patuloy ang magmamahal para sa bayan kahit minsan ang sakit-sakit na. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
We are really off to a great start, Divinistas. Miss Hannah proved na talaga namang unity should also be part of our priorities, even as young adults. Sabi ni Ate Hannah, okay lang kahit maliit lang yung magagawa mo. Okay lang kahit baby steps lang. And upon pag-iisip kung ano ba yung baby steps na pong gawin kung sakali, pwede natin gawin kung sakali, siguro pagmamahal, pagtangkilik sa mga produkto natin dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi naman kasi kailangan na talagang malaki agad yung ating gagawin. So, Divinistas, let us always bear in mind yung mga sinabi ni Ate sa dami nun. Isipin lang natin lagi na tayo ang pag-asa ng bayan may maiaambag tayo. And lumabas sa atin yung spark. Hanapin natin mismo sa sarili natin. And yung presentation ni Ate Hannah is truly inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, ayan, without further ado, let me introduce our second speaker. Ayan. Without further ado, let me introduce our second speaker. Our second speaker is a current student from DWCC, proof that excellence perpetuates within the institution. Ms. Rain Rhymes F. Abanador is an AB psychology student who grew up for her mother nature since she was years old. Her main advocacy is to support Executive Number 26, otherwise known as National Greening Program. In 2014, she was trained by Haribon Foundation as one of the pioneer eco-rangers of USAID B+Wiser, known as Biodiversity and Watersheds Improved for Stronger Economy and Ecosystem Resilience. In 2015, DEN USAID B+Wiser 16, she was awarded as the Chief Girl Scout Medalist for her ecology project, Pocket Forest of Bangkal Trees. 2019, she was the first protection category given by the provincial contributions to the environmental field. In 2019, she was chosen as one of the 16 delegates to represent the Philippines for Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative. Academic Fellow Spring 2019, where she studied global environmental issues and natural resources management in America for 5 weeks. When she is not on duty as a Girl Scout or as a young environmentalist, she'll take a rest by watching movies, reading novels, or playing the guitar and piano. Let us welcome the next speaker to sparkle meaningful and relevant conversations, Ms. Rain Rhymes Abanador, with her talk about the environment.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rain Rhymes F. Abanador, and today I'll be discussing about how environmental awareness can help save humanity and the planet from who? From us humans. This is entitled The Fourth Second. So today, bago natin simulan yung ating discussion, may tatanong muna ako sa inyo. If we compress, we all know that planet Earth lived way longer than us humans, right? But what if we compress Earth's lifespan into 24 hours in just one day? Sa tingin nyo, gaano katagal kaya nag-e-exist ang human in that span of time? Pwede nyo bang i-comment ang hula nyo kung gaano katagal? 10 seconds, 1 minute. Pero, since hindi naman to mathematics class, hindi ko na kayo pahihirapan. And I'm just asking you to not only absorb the answer to this question, but also absorb the whole message of the video that I'll be letting you watch.
Fun fact, planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind, about 140,000 years old. Let me put that in perspective. If you condense the Earth's lifespan into 24 hours, that's one full day, then we have been here on this planet for, drum roll please, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And look what we've done. We have modestly named ourselves Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. But is man really so wise? Smart, yes, and it's good to be smart, but not too smart for your own good. Yes, we have split the atom. Yes, we build clever machines that navigate the universe in search of new homes, but at the same time, those atoms we split created nuclear warfare. In our quest to explore the galaxy, rejects and neglects the home that we have here now, so no, that cannot be wisdom. Wisdom is different. While intelligence speaks, wisdom listens, and we willingly covered our ears to Mother Nature's screams and closed our eyes to all of her help-wanted signs. Wisdom knows that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so if we were wise, we would not be shocked when we see storms that are stronger than ever before, or more drought, hurricanes, and wildfire than ever before, because there's more pollution than ever before, more carbon, more trees cut down than ever before. At a record pace, we have increased the extinction of animals by 1,000 times the normal rate. What a feat. In the next 10 to 100 years, every beloved animal character in every children's book is predicted to go extinct. Lions gone, rhinos gone, tiger, gorilla, elephant, polar bear gone. In 3 seconds. Species that have been here longer than us will be gone because of us. In this 3 seconds. In an existence shorter than a Vine video, we turn the circle of life into our own personal conveyor belt. Somebody, anybody help. We were given so much, the only planet in this solar system with life. I mean, we are 1 in a million. No, actually, scientifically, we are 1 in a billion, trillion. That's a 1 followed by 33 zeros. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but how are we not a miracle? We are perfectly positioned to the sun so we don't burn, but not too distant so we don't turn to ice. Goldilocks said it best. We are just right. This paradise where we are given medicine from trees, not coincidentally, but because like the song says, we are family. Literally, everything, every species is connected genetically, from the sunflower to the sunfish. And this is what we must recognize before it's too late, because the real crisis is not global warming, environmental destruction, or animal agriculture. It is us. These problems are symptoms of us, byproducts of us. Our inner reflection, loss of connection has created this misdirection. We have forgotten that everything contributes to the perfection of Mother Nature. Corporations keep us unaware and disconnected, but they have underestimated our strength. Contrary to popular belief, millions are waking up out of their sleep, seeing our home being taken right up under our feet. We cannot allow our history to be written by the wicked, greedy, and loony. It is our duty to protect Mother Nature from those who refuse to see her beauty. Call me crazy, but I believe we should have the right to eat food that's safe, with ingredients we can pronounce. Drink water that is clean, marvel at trees, breathe air free of toxins. These are natural rights, not things that can be bargained for in Congress. See, they want you to feel powerless, but it has been said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wing can cause a typhoon halfway around the world. Well, when enough people come together, we too will make waves and watch the world into a new era filled with love and connection, freedom for all without oppression. But it is up to you, yes, you watching this behind this screen, to make the effort, because time is of the essence, and only together can we make it to the 4th second.
Okay, did you guys enjoy the video? So, now that we've watched the video, we ask ourselves, what does it really mean to become environmentally aware? Paano ba natin masasabi na environmentally aware tayo? Porket ba alam natin yung nangyayari sa paligid natin, automatic Again, I'm asking the question, kapag ba alam natin yung nangyayari sa paligid natin, masasabi agad na aware tayo? Okay na po ba, Ocho? Okay na po ba? Okay na. Okay, I'll resume my talk. So what does it mean to become environmentally aware? Kapag alam ba natin yung nangyayari sa paligid natin, makakonsider na agad ba natin yung sarili natin na, environmentally aware ako kasi alam ko na may climate change, alam ko na may global warming, alam ko na nagkakaroon ng forest fire and stuff like that. But the truth is, environmental awareness is actually not just knowing, but also understanding what is happening around you. Naiintindihan mo na fragile yung environment natin at importante na alagaan natin ito. So, in talking about knowing and understanding, you'll further understand it in the next clip that I'll be showing you. But before we proceed to that, I want to remind you that the key word for environmental awareness is the word understand. Okay? Now, how can we say that we are environmentally educated? Well, it means that meron ganitong tatlong characteristics na to. Una, you are wise. Number 2, you listen to the call of Mother Nature. And 3, you understand what is happening around you. And sinasabi nila na ang environmental education daw ay nakaka-depress. At bakit? Merong dalawang rason. Una daw, kasi we have to sacrifice a lot para mapabuti yung environment. For example,
Okay na po ba yung audio? Sa fastest po.
Better, Ate Rain, better po.
Okay. I'm sorry po for the inconvenience. Okay. Where did I stop? Okay. Ang sabi po, ang environmental education daw ay nakaka-depress. Bakit? One, kasi ang dami nating kailangan i-sacrifice para lang makabuti sa environment. For example, sa halip na mag-try ka pa school, why not maglakad ka or mag-bike? Or sa halip na bumili ka ng bottled water kasi uhaw ka na, why not bring your own tumbler para hindi ka makapag-contribute sa pollution? Things like that. And people today don't like change that much. Ayaw nila na may nababago sa nakasanayan na nila. And the truth is, we need to sacrifice a lot for our own good. And this is agreed by my favorite environmentalist, a young Filipino environmentalist named Gab Mejia, where he said that the real question about environmental awareness is no longer about believing if all these environmental issues and climate crisis occur. The question is if we as a generation and the generation before us is willing to believe that there's anything to be done. Because only in learning and caring about something that is not us can we truly understand our differences and similarities. That we are all interconnected, just like the forests and lands our civilizations were built upon. Here, he only says that being environmentally aware means that we have to stop focusing on the word us, focusing on the word
ourselves. And instead, we must think first about the environment and our future. And another reason why they say that environmental education is depressing because it feels like ang onti ng efforts natin at wala siyang masyadong malaking impact sa paligid natin. But the truth is, that is wrong because there is this thing called the chaos theory or the butterfly effect, which says that a small change at one place in a complex system can have large effects elsewhere. So meaning, lahat ng ginagawa mo for the environment, no matter how small that is, malaki ang tulong mo kay Mother Nature. And meron akong isang saying na lagi kong sinasabi kapag na-invite ako mag-talk, yun ay, a simple act of caring creates an endless ripple. So, whether you just throw the trash in the trash can, malaking tulong na agad yun kay nature. So the next clip I want to show you is a social experiment made by a YouTuber named JT Out. Here, tinest niya kung ano kaya ang gagawin ng tao kapag may nakita siyang isang tao na nagkakalat. Tingnan natin. So as you can see, yung mga passers-by, kahit nakikita nila yung ginawa ni JT, nilagpasan lang nila. Others looked, and meron pang iba na tiningnan siya ng masama, pero wala namang ginawa. And this is the worst.
Oh, and I wasn't expecting
That
this
is the
either.
worst thing to do.
I know everyone's busy living their own life and stuff, but I'm pretty sure paying it forward just a little bit more wouldn't take that much of your time. After all, it's our city, where we
Okay,
belong.
that was only a snippet of his whole video. But now I want to ask you, in the comment section, sige nga, mag-confession tayo. Are you like those people in the video? Kapag ba may nakikita kayong basura, kunwari sa school, let's say, nung mga panahon na meron pang face-to-face classes, kapag kumakain ba kayo ng merienda nyo, iniiwan nyo lang yung basura sa table, kahit alam nyo naman may malapit na basurahan, or pwede nyo naman siyang itapon later kapag may nakita kayong basurahan, iniiwan nyo lang ba siya? Or kapag naglalakad ka sa patwalk, kahit sa labas ng school, at may nakita kang basura na pwede mo namang pulutin kasi may malapit na basurahan, pinupulot mo ba or hindi? Siguro, lalo sa campus, masasabi natin na majority ng estudyante, at naobserbahan ko talaga to, na majority ng estudyante ay after mapakinabangan yung snacks nila, yung pagkain nila, iniiwan na lang nila yung basura, yung kalat. Hindi namin kailangan yan, dyan na lang yan. And siguro, ang irarason nila kasi andyan naman sila kuya janitor, pupulutin naman nila yung mamaya, lilinisin naman nila. But what if wala si kuya janitor? What if walang maglilinis? And lahat tayo, ganun ang mentality. Iiwan ko lang yan kasi may maglilinis naman yan. Ano nang mangyayari sa Divine ngayon? E di magiging tambakan na ng basura. And now, na na-discuss natin yon, I'd like you to watch this very short clip of someone who did the opposite ng mga ginawa ng mga tao kanina. And it's an elephant. Hindi po yan magic trick. Maybe it was trained to do it, but still, the elephant did better than those humans, right? And kung nagagawa nga yun ng elephant at ng ibang hayop, why can't we? And why don't we do that as well? But going back to the social experiment earlier, there is actually one person, isa lang dun sa buong video na yon, who did the right thing when others didn't.
Until I met this young lady. She actually came back to deal with something that she didn't have to deal with. She came back and picked up the trash that I threw away.
And when JT Out asked this girl, bakit pinulot mo yung basura ko? Her answer is, I didn't want the nature to get dirty. I didn't want the nature to get dirty. It's a simple statement, but yet it's very powerful. So dun sa nakita niyong video, her action, her answer is an example of environmental awareness. And if you still don't understand what environmental awareness is, then using that video, I will break it down for you into 4 steps of how we can be environmental aware. Number 1, knowing about the problem. Dun sa video, ano ba yung problem? Ang problem natin dito ay nagtapon lang siya ng basura kung saan-saan. Number 2, now na alam na natin kung ano yung problema, nagtapon siya ng basura sa hindi tamang tapunan. Let's ask ourselves, why is it a problem? Bakit siya naging problema? Ano bang mangyayari kapag nagtapon tayo kung saan-saan? Pollution. At mula sa pollution, ang dami pa nung madami pang maapektuhan sa ating sa buong mundo. And now that we have step 1 and step 2, tanungin natin ngayon sarili natin. Number 3, can I solve this problem? At alam naman natin lahat, na lahat ng nasa video na yun sa social experiment, alam nila lahat na masama ang pagtatapon ng basura kung saan-saan. And they also know that to resolve it, they need to pick up that trash or tell the person na nagkalat na, oy, nagkalat ka, itapan mo yan sa basurahan. Pero, number 4, did they do it? Number 4 is actually resolving the problem. At sa lahat ng taong yon, only the girl did step number 4. Why? Kasi nag-reflect siya from step 1 to step 3. And she knows it's not good to throw trash everywhere. And she picked up the trash because she knows and understands that it is good for the environment kapag ginawa mo yun. Well, actually, reflecting back on the video again, siguro malulungkot kayo na sa dami-daming tao na yun, isa lang yung gumawa ng tama. But it's better to watch and witness one change, one small change, rather than no change at all. Siguro yung nag-social experiment na si JT, kung walang pumulot ng basura or nanaway sa kanya, he would be devastated of the result of the social experiment. Pero that girl gave her hope. And in relation with that clip, we can say that that girl has a very great foundation for environmental awareness. And most research actually shows that environmental attitudes are pretty firm when started at a young age. Kapag environmentally aware na tayo at a young age, ay napakagandang foundation niya in terms of helping the environment. And now, in my case, I was able to apply it as well in real life. So here is the gist of my journey as a young environmentalist. I'll give you a quick summary of it. So at a young age, I'm already aware of the environment because my mother was part of a Hakon mountaineering group back then. So sumasama ako sa kanila kapag may mga events sila like cleanup drive or mangrove planting. And I am also a Girl Scout for 18 years now because I started when I was 3 years old nung nursery ako sa Maria Loreto. And for the next slides, makikita nyo yung mga projects na special sa puso ko because it is my progress, my improvement over the years from that 3 and 4-year-old kid. So the first project is Di Bahay Punlaan Karunungan, a school nursery of indigenous tree seedlings. So ang project na to ay ako as an eco-ranger. So I have a partner here and his name is Charles. He's my classmate. And when we became eco-rangers, di talaga namin alam na ang layo ng mararating ng vision namin na ma-promote yung pagtatanim ng indigenous tree seedlings. Hindi lang dito sa Mindoro, kundi sa buong Pilipinas. And as you can see, from the left to right, then left to right, from our project proposal, makikita nyo yung construction ng aming nursery. Maliit na nursery lang yan, school nursery. And then, if you're asking where we got the seedlings, kinuha po namin siya from the indigenous people of Tribong Alangan in Bako. And binayaran ba namin yung mga seedlings na yon? Hindi. Hindi namin siya pinagpalit sa pera. Pinagpalit namin siya with our donated books and modules. So yung nakikita niyo po dun sa lower left, ay yun po yung mga modules and books ko mula nursery hanggang grade 11, together with some donated books from concerned citizens. At yan po ang ipinalit namin dun sa mga indigenous tree seedlings na nakuha namin. And the people there are very happy kasi gustong-gusto pong mag-aral ng mga indigenous children natin doon. At until now, ginagamit po nila yan, nakalagay yan sa kanilang library. The next one is when I was in grade 6, that was year 2011, when I was the mayor of Adriatico Memorial School Supreme Pupil Government, and this was one of our projects. Nag-adopt po kami ng isang site sa mahal na pangalan where we planted 100 rhizophora mangroves. And after 7 years, noong 2018, look how they grew up. Nakaka-proud po sa tuwing binabalikan namin yung site. And last one is probably my most favorite. This is my project for the Chief Girl Scout Medal Scheme. So, siya po ay pocket forest of Bangkal trees in Sitio Daungan. As you can see from the left, ang liliit pa nila, but after 2 years, tingnan nyo kung gano'n na sila kalaki. And just last year, 2019, they are now 10 feet taller than us. And makikita nyo rin po dyan si Gary, sa ko pong friend. So, this is actually one of the biggest projects that I have ever done. Pero, naging posible siya because of the help of my Chief Girl Scout Medal Scheme Working Committee, the youth of Lapog, kasama po namin silang magtanim, pati yung elders, the teachers in that barangay, my parents, of course, at yung family po nila Gail. So, ngayon po, tinurn over na namin siya sa barangay after working for it for 1 year, and nakakatuwa na minaintain nila yun hanggang ngayon. So, the next slides you'll be seeing is the milestones I got for taking care of the environment. So, ano ba yung mga, parang, di ba, pag nanalo ko sa contest, may medal. Ano ba yung mga medals na nakuha ko from working hard for the environment? So, number 1, yung CGSMS project ko po ay na-feature sa magazine ng Girl Scout of the Philippines. Front page po yun. Out of 758 projects. Yun po yung napili nila. And sa right side naman, I was also chosen as one of the girls for the 2019 GSP calendar. So nakalagay po ako for the month of March. And then after that, after knowing my works, advocacy works, na-invite din po ako for radio and TV guesting. The left one is in 104.1 Spirit FM, and the right side is with TVNet Newsline City Talk. As well as events po like Camp Calapen and Empower Youth Camp. Andyan din po si Ma'am Irish tsaka si Ate Hana. They invited me to talk about my advocacy sa mga kabataan po na participants. Aside from that, USAID and TVNet also made a feature video about my works as an eco-ranger. And in addition to this, last 2017, nag-launch po yung National Council for Children's Television ng film festival entitled Docubata. And my former school po, Litibor National High School, collaborated with Domingo Yucho National High School, located in Pola po sila. And we collaborated in making the film entitled Lunti ang Kulay Tatak Mangyan, where they featured my story po as an environmentalist. And luckily, kahit kakalunch lang nung contest, we are the first winner. We won the best direction and best documentary for that contest. And ito naman po mga achievements ko as an eco-ranger. During the year 2015, I was asked to write an article for the Manila Times. And then USAID Exposure, a website based in California, they also made an article about my life entitled Rain's Calling. And noong May 2015, during the International Day for Biological Diversity, USA Beatles Weiser hailed me as the Youth Ambassador for Biodiversity Conservation. And kung iisipin nyo, ang laking responsibility na ibinigay sa isang grade 10. And during that time, isang taon pa lang po ako as an Eco Ranger. Kaya inisip ko, ano pa ba yung magagawa ko? And nakita nyo kanina, sobrang dami kong na-achieve. But considering all of that, maliliit na steps lang yon at nag-build up lang siya into big changes sa environment. And after 4 years, during the closure of B Plus Wiser program, you can see me delivering in front of all the influential people in the environmental field. I even got a handshake with the former US Ambassador to the Philippines, Mr. Sung Kim, and also met Mr. Joey Ayala, if you know him. And nakakatuwa na during those 4 years as an Eco Ranger, I was recognized as one of the 20 influential people, environmentalists in the program, and I was also the youngest. And now may I ask you, if you were given the chance to travel outside the country for free, where would you want to go? Please comment it in the comment section below. And yan, kung tatanungin niyo ako talaga dati, hindi ko ma-imagine yung sarili ko na lilipad papuntang ibang bansa. And sabi ko kahit sa Visayas, Mindanao, or North Luzon, okay na. Basta maka-travel lang. Because we are financially unstable. But then, this happened. But then, this happened. Out of hundreds and hundreds of applications from all over the Philippines, I was chosen as one of the participants for the YCE Academic Fellowship Spring 2019. And nakikita niyo naman po yung name ko dyan. So for 6 po kami under environment category. And for 5 weeks, we studied global environmental issues and natural resources management. First, we spent 4 weeks in Montana, then 3 days in New Orleans, and 4 days in Washington, D.C. Kung makikita niyo po yung mga tao dyan sa picture, we are 21 people of different age levels and different professions. Meron po diyang architect, may civil engineer, may geophysicist, may teacher, but we are all environmentalists. So with that, you can say that anyone can be an environmentalist as long as environmentally aware ka. So ngayon, tatanungin mo ako, paano naman ako, Ate Rain? Hindi naman ganyan kadami yung nagawa ko within those years, for the past years at adult na ako. Well, even if it's already late for some, tayo as adults must still be educated and held accountable for what we are doing. Especially kapag alam natin na yung ginagawa natin ay nakakasira sa environment. So ano ba yung pwede nyo gawin? Here are some examples. First, you can upcycle. May ibang nalilito between upcycling and recycling. So recycling is actually recycling recyclable materials, and upcycle is getting things that are considered waste and using creativity and being resourceful, nagagawa mo siyang useful ulit. Next is the use of ECOSHA. Next, dispose properly, save water and save bodies of water, walk and bike more, tumblers, straws, use of tumblers, stainless straws, and etc. Basta avoid the use of single-use plastic. So I won't elaborate this anymore because kulang na po sa time. But I would only promote among those 6 ECOSHA. If you have heard them or not heard them, I just want to share that instead of Google, I hope you use ECOSHA as your search engine. Pwede nyo po siyang i-download sa Play Store at pwede nyo din po siyang gawing default sa browser. So it is a search engine where kapag nag-search ka po ng 45 times, magtatanim sila ng isang puno. And I'm happy to share that just recently, they are starting to plant in the Philippines. So please recommend this app with your friends and your families and help save the environment. Kung tinatamad ka magtanim ng puno, edi mag-search ka ng 45 beses sa ECOSHA at makakapagtanim ka na ng isa. And now, my last question for you is, what will you do to save the planet and humanity today? At rin, bakit kasamang humanity? Kasi kapag sinave mo yung planet, nililigtas mo din yung sarili mo at yung loved ones mo. So, in the comment section, please comment your pledge and I'll look at that later. And now, to close my discussion, I just wanted to say na no matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, your age, your profession, to you who is listening to my talk right now, let's be environmentally aware. Together, let's make it to the 4th second. Thank you po for listening.
Ayan, thank you very much, Ate Rain. Favorite thing ko sa sinabi ni Ate Rain actually, guys, is yun daw, a simple act can create ripples of change. So that is very empowering talaga, no? Talk about achievements even at a young age, hindi ba, Divinistas? Ito talagang event na to, it does not only show us or it does not only allow us to learn and realize about the topics that our speakers are discussing, pero it also inspires and empowers us to achieve more and do better. Thank you again, Ms. Rain, for that very endearing talk. Ano po? Next on the line, without further ado na, no? Next on the line of the speakers who wish to inspire us it's my pleasure and my privilege to introduce to you Miss Perry Irish Santiago. Miss Perry Irish is a licensed psychometrician and is a graduate of BS Psychology at the Adventist University of the Philippines, where she finished summa cum laude. She is currently taking up Masters in Public Administration at the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, PUP. She also earned a certificate course on Psychology of Well-Being at Yale University and Leadership and Emotional Intelligence at the Indian School of Business. Ayan, very credible talaga si Miss Perry. She is currently the Presidential Staff Officer 3 at the National Youth Commission, Office of the Commissioner representing Luzon. She is also the founder and chairperson of the Oriental Mindoro Society of Young Parliamentarians. She is also affiliated to other local and national organizations, which allowed her to represent the country to various international conferences like the Council of Asian Liberals and Democrats in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative in Indonesia, two-year leadership program in ASEAN India Young Leaders in New Delhi, India. Miss Perry is awarded by the Parliament of Youth Leaders Incorporated with the Merit of Service for Leadership and Volunteerism. She is a youth parliamentarian, a social legislator, an advocate, and a volunteer. Divinistas, the third speaker to sparkle meaningful and relevant conversations, Miss Perry Irish with her talk about current events and voters' education.
Hi, thank you so much for that very generous introduction. Hi, everyone. I don't know, but I cannot have my video on. Alright. Hi, magandang hapon. Magandang hapon at mainit na hapon sa ating lahat. Ito ay literal na mainit dahil napakainit ng ating panahon. Kamusta kayong lahat? I am watching through my phone then. So, can you share to me how are you guys doing this afternoon? Okay pa ba kayo? Yan. So before I go, I would like to share my screen. Yan. So before I start, gusto kong, since I'll be talking about voters' education this afternoon, gusto kong malaman, coming from the comment section, sino dito ang 18 years old pataas at nakapagrehistro na sa COMELEC? Sige nga, may I see the hands of those who have already registered? Okay. Meron na bang mga nakapagrehistro? Very good. Very good dun sa mga nakapag-register na. So, may tanong din ako. Kamusta naman yung mga binoto ninyo? Or bumoto ba kayo ng mga nakaraan na elections like the 2019 midterm elections and 2016 national elections? Sino mga bumoto? And kamusta yung mga binoto ninyo? Are you guys happy dun sa mga binoto ninyo? Either that be locally or nationally. Ayan. Okay, so I'll be sharing to you my advocacy about governance then, and youth participation. So we're going to talk about youth vote. So maraming tayong pinag-uusapan tungkol sa uh, um, youth participation. Itong discussion ni Ate Hana saka ni Rain ay ilan lamang sa mga napakagandang mga examples ng pakikiisa ng ating mga kabataan pagdating sa pagdedesisyon sa gobyerno, pagdating sa civic efficiency. But this time, I'll be talking about a different form of youth participation. So, may tinatawag tayo na youth vote. Ang tanong nga dito sa isa sa mga articles na nabasa ko, is there such thing as youth vote? Meron bang tinatawag na youth vote? At makakapag-make ba tayo ng difference ito sa sinasabi natin na youth vote? So before I proceed, I would like to share to you the different rationale kung bakit ba sinasabi na suffrage ay very important sa atin. So aside from the 1987 Philippine Constitution na ang suffrage is sa ating mga karapatan, we also recognize as per Republic Act 8044 or the Youth and Nation Building Act of 1995 na-recognize yung malaking gampanin natin bilang mga kabataan pagdating sa nation building. At kung kaya tayo ini-encourage na maging kaisa tayo ng pamahalaan pagdating sa governance at pagdating din sa pag-promote ng patriotism, nationalism, at governance and civic efficiency activities. So, maliban dito, kung alam niyo yung Philippine Youth Development Plan 2017 to 2022, merong specific doon na area, Center for Participation for Governance. At nakalagay doon specifically kung ano yung inaay nito para sa ating mga kabataan. So sabi doon, isa sa mga goal is ma-ensure yung participation nating mga kabataan sa sangguniang kabataan at local and national elections at ganun din sa bureaucracy. Ayan. So maliban dito sa pag-advocate natin sa environment, sa mental health, sa education, etc. It's also very important that we participate in governance and in decision making of our local politics. Ayan. So, maliban dito, isa sa tingin ko ay pinaka-importante kung bakit kailangan natin pag-usapan itong mga bagay na ito ay dahil sa recent statistics na inilalabas tungkol sa youth vote. Yan. So kung hindi niyo alam, noong midterm elections, there are actually around 54 million Filipinos who are registered. At 33% doon ay tayo, Gen Z and millennials. So 18 years old hanggang 39 years old. 33% or umaabot sa 18.3 million ang rehistradong mga botante na Gen Z at millennials. So napakalaki actually ng bilang ng mga kabataan. Pero ang nakakalungkot lamang nito, dun sa National Youth Assessment Study na ginawa ng National Youth Commission, ay 32% ng mga rehistrado na kabataan ay hindi bumoto. Ayan. So, kumbaga, kahit na marami ang rehistrado, meron namang napakarami rin na kabataan ang hindi bumoto. So 32% ito. Kung babalikan natin yun, that's around like 5.8 million. At kung titingnan niyo, if you are very critical about voters turnout, there's actually like 5.8 million na hindi bumoto. At kung titingnan niyo yung difference dun sa national election, for example, yung difference nung nanalo na kandidato doon sa hindi nanalo na kandidato. So ibig sabihin nito, tayo bilang mga kabataan, malaki pala yung boto na pwede nating magawa para makapagpaupo ng isang tao doon sa posisyon na yun. In 2022, the Philippine Statistics Authority projects that there are going to be 73 million Filipino adults. So ito yung mga 18 years old pataas. At sa kasalukuyan, as of January, COMELEC has reported na 58 million yung rehistrado na. So medyo malaki na, pero meron pa tayong hinahanap na 15 million. At alam niyo ba na 4 na million doon ay yung mga 18 years old pa lamang. Marahil dito sa mga nanonood at saka sa mga kasama natin sa Zoom, there are individuals na hindi pa nag-18 or kaka-18 pa lamang. So the question would be, have you already registered? So baka ikaw ay kasama dito sa 4 na milyon na mag-turn 18 pa lamang o kasama ka dito sa 15 milyon na mga Pilipino na hindi pa nakakapagrehistro. And you know what's important and what masiklab? 40 million sa 2022 ay Gen Z at millennial voters. So, napakalaki ng percentage from the 73 million na magiging matanda or magiging adult voters in 2022. 40 million dito ay tayo, 18 to 39 years old. So, ibig sabihin nito, napakalaki ng chance na galing sa atin yung magluluklok doon sa mga leader na gusto natin dito sa ating bansa at even in our local politics, local government. But when we talk about voters' education, we always say that voters registration is like a fuel to democracy. But when we talk about voters education, it doesn't just talk about encouraging you to register and vote. To register, but it also talks about choosing the right people to vote. So let me just share to you, tatlong M lamang ito. Tatlong M. Una, matino. Ang piliin natin yung mga iboboto natin na matino. When we say matino, ito yung mga tao na walang bahid ng korupsyon, ng irregularities. Pangalawa, yung mahusay, yung competent, yung merong leadership skills, yung mga meron ng napatunayan. At pangatlo, yung mga maaasahan, yung available, yung dependable. Sila yung mga tao na hindi natin, na lagi natin nakikita at madali nating makita. Hindi yung leader na marahil ay natutulog or hindi natin mahagilap kapag kailangan natin. Yeah. And if you think na ang voters education ay tungkol lamang sa pag-encourage sa inyo na bumoto at magrehistro, it's also about asking you, young individuals, especially like you guys here, nandirito, kayo mga college students and you are young, be one of these individuals who will be public servants. We have a lot of young public servants and itong mga nilagay ko dito sa presentation ko, these are just very few young public servants that we have in Oriental Mindoro. Sila yung mga nasa barangay, municipal, hanggang sa city and provincial level. So makikita naman natin na talagang malaki ang contribution. And if you think you are matino, mahusay, maaasahan, and if you want to have like big ambag dito sa inyong mga localities, be a young public servant. So sabi ko nga, di ba, maikli lang yung talk ko. And one of the reasons maybe that's why Divine Word College has asked me to talk about voters registration is because currently we have an existing project which is the Registro Mindoreño 2022. We understand that the pandemic has been a challenging time for all of us at marahil ay very limited yung ating pagpunta sa mga voting or sa mga sa offices ng ating mga elections officers. So, ginawa namin ito through the Oriental Mindoro Society of Young Parliamentarians as well as the 3H initiative from Bulalakaw and our Provincial Youth Development Council. We have or we will be launching the Voters Education Caravan. So, this is going to be from April hanggang September 30, 2021 kung saan ay tatapos yung ating voters registration. So kung kayo man ay hindi pa nakakaboto or hindi pa nakakapagparehistro, I would like to appeal to you. It's very easy and the pandemic is never an alibi para hindi tayo makapagparehistro ngayong panahon ito. Anong kailangan lamang dalhin natin o gawin natin? I want you guys to go out. Make sure that you wear your face mask and your face shield. Bring your alcohol or your sanitizer, an identification card, ID ninyo, at sarili ninyong ballpen. At higit sa lahat, ang pinakamahalaga na kinakailangan dala ninyo ay pagmamahal ninyo para sa bayan. We are 40 million strong here in the Philippines. Marami tayo na pwedeng boses. Always remember that your vote is your voice. And it's not just about registering. We want that in 2022, we will be able to translate this into good governance, good politics, not just locally, but also nationally. So, lagi kong sinasabi at iiwan ko para sa inyo makapangyarihan tayo bilang mga Pilipino na rehistrado. At lagi ninyong tatandaan, mga kabataang Divinista, makapangyarihan ang rehistradong Mindoreño. Go out and be registered and let us translate our votes in 2022. Thank you so much and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Miss Fairy Irish. Talagang ang mga pulot ko po sa kanyang talk ay una, dapat daw ang mga i-elect natin ay matino, mahusay at maaasahan. Tama talaga. 3Ms, napakadaling tandaan guys. Dapat matino, mahusay, maaasahan talaga. So, I suggest din, katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am Fairy, research talaga about the leaders that you will vote for. And isa pa sa sinabi niya na favorite ko is that your vote is your voice. Tama yun, no guys? Kasi yun talagang tayo mga kabataan sa sobrang dami natin, katulad nga ng sinabi ni Miss Perry, is ito talaga yung way natin para maparinig sa ibang tao, dun sa mga taong palagi tayong pinaghahanapan ng ambag, itong boto natin yung pwede natin gamitin. So does everyone feel giddy because of amazement? Because ako talaga, Divinistas, grabe yung amazement ko sa mga speakers natin ngayong hapong ito. Our speakers this afternoon are amazing, lacking for a better word. Thank you again, Miss Perry, dahil you made us all realize the importance of our role sa society po natin. We will surely keep that in mind. Ayan, Divinistas, we are up to our last speaker of the event. So recap lang tayo ng mabilisan, no? So ang una natin ay community service by Miss Hannah, next is environment by Miss Rain, and yung huli nating natapos is voters ed by Miss Fairy Irish. So again lang, ako nga pala, hindi ako nakapag-introduce kanina. I'm Yuan Lugmao, the President of School of Education. I'm just taking over Ate Ella kasi nagkaroon siya ng technical difficulties regarding her internet connection. And isa ako sa facilitators ng event na to. So, nag-take over na rin ako. Anyway, enough of that. We are up nga to our last speaker of this event. This speaker embodies the true meaning of Christianity, just but loving. Ladies and gentlemen, our last but not the least speaker, Mr. Kevin Stefan Centeno. Mr. Kevin Stefan R. Centeno graduated AB Philosophy at the St. Augustine Seminary, Calapan City, Oriental Mindoro. He is currently teaching in the same seminary, so nagtuturo siya doon while undergoing his discernment at the Arvizu House, the Jesuit Candidacy Program in Quezon City. His undergraduate thesis entitled Heisenberg's Uncertainty Principle, a Paradigm for the Postmodern World, was awarded Best Thesis. And two of his articles are featured in Rappler Voices. So itong mga articles na to, nabasa ko na rin and napakaganda. Divinistas, the last speaker to sparkle meaningful and relevant conversations, Mr. Kevin Stefan R. Centeno with his talk about Christian faith in dangerous times.
Okay. Thank you so much. So it's an honor to be here, to be part of this conference. So maraming salamat po sa organizers for inviting me. So Divine has been my home also when I was still a seminarian in Mindoro. And my mother, si Ma'am Hyper Centeno, so she teaches there. No? So hello, Mama. No? I know Mama and my family is watching. So the title of my brief talk is Christian Faith in Dangerous Times, a faith that does justice. We are definitely living in dangerous times. One must not turn a blind eye to what's happening in both the local and the global setting. The COVID-19 pandemic has shattered the myth of the invincible human person and exposed the inefficiency of the old world structure. The pandemic shows no mercy to anyone in the globe. The virus lurks everywhere, waiting to cause untimely deaths. Here in the Philippines, hospitals are already full, thanks to the excellent performance of the government. The unemployment rate is high. Lives are lost every day, not only because of the virus and the incompetence of the government, but also because of rampant killings. In countries wherein its democratic structures are crumbling or already destroyed, its respective state keeps on pursuing the path of rampage by sanctioning violence in the guise of preserving law and order. Before, drug addicts, pushers, mostly poor ones, are the targets of killings. Now its scope includes lawyers, journalists, farmers, ordinary civilians, dissenters, even those who violated quarantine protocols, and activists demonized as communists. No one is safe anymore. Respect for human rights is deteriorating. The ecological crisis is getting worse. Our common home, which is Mother Earth, is still being raped. Capitalist interests sacrifice nature for the sake of a greedy few. Climate change is obviously palpable. That's why I don't know why are there still people who deny climate change. So it's a tragic truth that the poor are the most hit by this crisis. We have disregarded the voice of scientists and environmental activists. The earth does not forgive. If we have despoiled the earth, its response will be very ugly, warns Pope Francis. The pandemic is an example of the revenge of nature. The gap between the rich and the poor are growing. I am not an expert in economics, but I know that the ugly face of poverty is rearing its head among countries. The pandemic disclosed the poisonous fangs of neoliberalism. Social injustice is the norm in third world countries, including the Philippines. A few owns large amounts of wealth, while the majority suffers from dire poverty. Gustavo Gutierrez captures well the death-dealing consequences of poverty, and I quote, "In the final analysis, poverty means death, lack of food and housing, the inability to attend properly to health and education needs, the exploitation of workers, permanent unemployment, the lack of respect for one's human dignity, and unjust limitations placed on personal freedom in the areas of self-expression, politics, and religion." I am not an expert to tackle all the problems the world is facing right now. I have barely scratched the surface. Other problems include the rise of racism, persecution of minorities, deadly terrorism, the threat of nuclear war, and many more. But one thing is for sure, we are living in dangerous times. We have just begun the glorious and joyful season of Easter, but many are still crucified. It's hard to sing Alleluia these times. People are losing hope. Some have fallen into despair, therefore losing their faith in the risen Christ. Who are we to blame them? The immense suffering the world is experiencing beggars our imagination. With the context in mind, what has Christian faith to do with the contemporary situation? Is the faith we Christians profess relevant in our dangerous times? Can our faith save us? What can we benefit from our Christian faith? I'm not just speaking to Catholics, but to all Christians. No? Can Christian faith transform the world or our society? Before anything else, let me clarify what I mean by Christian faith. The term Christian faith can be understood in multiple ways. Christian faith can refer to what Christians from different denominations believe. Christian faith then stands for the teachings of the church. Catholic Christians, for example, I'm a Catholic, I have my own sources of faith, the Bible, tradition, and the teachings of the magisterium. Others have different sources. So it's the task of ecumenism to find the common ground among Christians. I truly believe that in spite of the pluralism of Christian denominations, there are teachings that diverse Christians can agree on. I don't have the time to exhaustively discuss these matters. On the other hand, Christian faith can refer to the faith of Christians. So faith is an act of believing. It's not just what we believe, but our act of believing. The Catechism for Filipino Catholics explains this important believing dimension of faith. Faith involves our basic convictions as Christians. For if you confess with your lips that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. John sums up his gospel with, "These things have been recorded to help you believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, so that through this faith you may have life in his name." Faith then is knowing. but not mere head knowledge of some abstract truths. It is like the deep knowledge we have of our parents or of anyone we love dearly. Christian faith then is personal knowledge of Jesus Christ as my Lord and my God. Christ assures each of us, "Here I stand knocking at the door. If anyone hears me calling and opens the door, I will enter his house and have supper with him and he with me." End of quotation. This is from the Catechism for Filipino Catholics. So I'll focus on this understanding of Christian faith as the distinctive faith of Christians. Christian faith is a topic as wide as the ocean, and it's impossible to discuss all of its dimensions due to time constraint. So Christians believe in Jesus Christ, the Lord and incarnation of God, who is the way, the truth, and the life, according to John 14:6. Take note that faith is not just believing in propositions or set of Christian statements. The Catechism is clear that faith is not mere head knowledge of some abstract truths. Faith leads to an encounter with God, with Jesus Christ. Memorizing and studying what Christ and the church teach is never enough. Without a personal encounter with the Lord, faith is reduced into propositional faith or blind obedience to the church. The theologian Karl Rahner says, this is a beautiful statement from him. Knowing God is more important than knowing about God. Maybe you're asking, so what? If faith is personal belief in Jesus, how can this personal belief transform society? Does believing in Jesus make sense in the contemporary situation? So how can our Christian faith make us livens of society? So atheism is the denial of faith in God and religion. One of the causes of atheism is the judgment that having faith in an invisible God and some teachings of the church is futile or useless. Why believe in God and religion at all? The criticism of the German philosopher Karl Marx resonates with the sentiments of non-believers, and I quote, "So religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the sentiment of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. The abolition of religion as the illusory happiness of men is a demand for their real happiness." So in other words, for critics, having faith is an illusion or illusory. For the critics of Christianity like Marx, Christian faith fantasizes another world where complete joy will be attained. In this worldview, this world is seen as something passing. Therefore, Christians must be firm in their faith in the afterlife and neglect the concerns to be found on earth. Christians need not connect their faith to social realities because faith is directed to the heavens above, not to the earth below. So faith is a sort of escape from the world. This is a misunderstanding. So religion that dichotomizes faith and action is a false religion. Perhaps Christian faith has been misunderstood so many times. Believing in Jesus is never an escape from this world. On the contrary, it's an intensification of the Christian's engagement with the world. Gone are the days of the extreme separation between the supernatural and the natural. We must find God in all things. So this is an important aspect I learned from Ignatian spirituality, and it's for everyone to embody. If your Christian faith separates you from social realities, then there's something wrong with how you express your faith. And I quote the Pope, Pope Francis, "Faith does not draw us away from the world or prove irrelevant to the concrete concerns of the men and women of our time." So after explaining this believing dimension, so I'll now proceed to the second dimension, and that is the doing dimension of faith. So faith is not just believing, it's also doing. So faith and action always go together. And I quote again the Catechism for Filipino Catholics. "Besides believing, faith is also doing. As Saint James writes, my brothers and sisters, what good is it to profess faith without practicing it? Christ himself taught, this is from the words of Jesus, none of those who cry out, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of God, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Faith then is a commitment to follow or to obey God's will for us. This we see exemplified in Mary's, I am the servant of the Lord, let it be done to me as you say. So PCP2 brings out this doing dimension of faith as witnessing to loving service of our needy neighbors. In our concrete situation, particularly urgent is the call for one, deeds of justice and love, and second, protecting and caring for our endangered Earth's environment. So end of quotation. So that's from the Catechism. There is an intimate connection between faith and action. St. James, we are overly familiar with this verse. Faith, if it does not have works, is dead. The Pope Francis, again, in Lumen Fidei, clearly states that precisely because faith is linked to love, therefore the light of faith is concretely placed at the service of justice, law, and peace. The 32nd General Congregation of the Society of Jesus, headed by Father Pedro Arupe, SJ, had its theme of faith that does justice. Now, take note, faith that does justice. For Father Arupe and the tradition of the Society of Jesus, the service of Christian faith entails the promotion of justice. The meaning of justice here is holistic. It's social, human, and ecological justice. To have faith in Jesus is to live like him by participating in his cause. Jesus Christ dedicated his whole earthly ministry for the liberation of the poor, oppressed, and marginalized. In the Gospel of Luke, in his famous sermon in the beginning of his mission, we can find what the Jesuit scholar Carlos Abesamis calls as the mission statement of Jesus. Now take note, the mission statement of Jesus. And he quoted from the prophet Isaiah. So from Luke chapter 4, verses 18 to 19. This is from Jesus himself. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord. Jesus fed the hungry, defended the dignity of the human person, healed the body and soul of the sick, strongly criticized the domineering and tyrannical attitude of the self-proclaimed lords during his time. During his time, it was the Roman Empire. Jesus treated women as equal to men and proclaimed the reign of God, ang kaharian ng Diyos. This is the heart of the message of Jesus, the reign of God. The reign of God, o yung kaharian ng Diyos, the basileia of God, is a kingdom of righteousness, peace, and joy in the Holy Spirit. This is from the letter of Paul to the Romans. It is a utopia wherein the poor, hungry, weeping, and persecuted are blessed. This is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6. And where the first will be last and the last will be first. This is from the Gospel of Matthew. So in a nutshell, so the reign of God is an all-encompassing society of complete justice. So the reign of God cannot be completely established here on earth, but Christians need not wait for the final end of everything. We do not need to wait for the second coming. The reign of God, of course, is a gift from God, but it doesn't mean that Christians would neglect their duties in the world. Christians inspired by their faith must start working for the realization of the reign of God by doing works of social justice, defending human rights and lives at all costs, and preserving the well-being of earth. Christian faith is faith in Jesus Christ and the reign of God. In our dangerous times, the radical invitation for us as Christians is to read the signs of the times and transform society by our actions. This is what faith demands. To proclaim one's faith in Jesus while turning a blind eye to the horrible social situation is equivalent to an empty and dead faith. In the light of Easter, I will end with a reflection from Lavinia Byrne, and I quote, "So, where are we to touch Jesus in today's world? Where are we to walk with him? Where are we to find his hands and feet? Where are we to offer him a piece of broiled fish and eat and drink in his presence?" Christianity is an embodied religion. It does not live between the pages of a book. Rather, it invites us to engage with our world. So we are to recognize the presence of Jesus whenever there are wounded hands and feet that turn to us for healing, and wherever there is a road that we can walk down in his company. End of quotation. I greet you all a blessed Easter, and may the risen Christ continue bestowing on us the grace of hope. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you po, Mr. Kevin. Grabe, that was a very moving talk. Ano, I realized a lot of things, pero there's really one thing that inspired me the most, and that is the true and deeper meaning of Christian faith. Sabi ni Mr. Kevin kanina, faith leads to an encounter. Yung true faith daw leads to an encounter with Jesus Christ. It's not just the practice. Ito daw ay engagement and encounter with the Lord. Sabi rin niya, we should, yung Christian faith daw, yung deeper meaning ng Christian faith is a faith that does justice. So, mahirap daw mag-sing ng Alleluia during this time sa lahat ng adversities na nararanasan natin. But still, parang kailangan natin na maniwala dun sa faith, sa tunay na meaning ng faith. So, thank you again, Mr. Kevin. Ayan, maraming salamat po ulit sa ating speakers. Maraming salamat po ulit sa ating speakers yan. Maraming salamat po ulit sa ating speakers. You are really role models that every Divinista should look up to. Pero bago po namin kayo pakawalan, syempre we want to ask you a few questions po muna. So if I can request the speakers po natin, the invited speakers, to turn on their camera para naman po makita po kayo uli. Once again, ng atin pong mga Divinista sa atin pong FB Live. Mabilis lang po itong Q&A portion, segment, mabilis lang po. Okay, so let's start po muna. Ang gagawin na lang po nating process ng pagsasagot ay from the first speaker to the last. Okay po. Please unmute din daw po your pagsasagot na po kayo. So the first question lang po is for you to tell us about your core advocacies po. Core advocacies, Ms. Hannah.
Ayan, so hello everyone, I'm back. Good afternoon. So yung core advocacy namin, siguro mahirap kasi medyo marami kami pinaglalaban sa buhay, no? Pero in this trying time, ngayong panahon ng pandemic, we have to realign kung ano dapat yung maging center na advocacy namin. And syempre today, yung focus namin ay health. So yung main advocacy namin is to provide universal access to quality healthcare, basic and quality healthcare to everyone, even to the most vulnerable and marginalized sectors in our community. So what we do sa aming organization is to reach the unreached and mag-provide ng basic healthcare services sa kanila. So it is through a mobile health clinic that was made possible through the Office of the Vice President, kung saan yung mga katutubo natin na dati kapag sila ay nagkasakit, they have to walk hours and hours and hours, cross rivers, para lang makarating sa ospital or sa pinakamalapit na clinic. But because of this mobile health clinic that was just gifted last December, so merong umiikot na mobile health clinic sa kanila para matugunan yung kanilang mga pangailangan medikal. And that is our core advocacy, basic healthcare services. Thank you, Yuan.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. So sabi ni Ms. Hannah, reach the unreached. Salamat po. Next naman po, Ate Rain. What is your core advocacy po?
Na-mention natin sa intro and sa discussion ko kanina na ang core advocacy ko talaga is focusing on Executive Order number 26 or the National Greening Program, where we need to plant 10 trees annually. Yun po ay required po sa mga students and sa government employee. That's why yung mga projects ko po, mga past projects ko, lahat po yun involved sa pagtatanim ng mga puno, especially po ng indigenous tree seedlings and ng mangroves. But now po, we're looking into upcycling and also promotion po ng eco bricks to reduce pagkalat po or pagkalat ng single-use plastics. Yun lang naman po.
Thank you, Ate Rain. So for Ate Rain, it's the annual planting of trees plus the advocacy sa single-use plastic. That's very, ano naman po, kasi ako, I try to avoid single-use plastics rin. So thank you, Ate Rain. Next naman po, Miss Irish.
Personally, I have a number of advocacies like mental health, also reduce inequalities for our marginalized sectors. But one of the focus like nowadays, lalo't higit ngayong panahong ito, is more on youth empowerment and governance. Kasi maybe I have to say this, and I'm gonna use this platform kasi nakakapagod din talaga yung panahon knowing that we have a lot of problems in our country and even in our locality. At siguro ito yung tamang panahon para magbigay tayo ng boses sa mga kabataan. Let's amplify the voices of our youth and provide them platforms so that their voice will be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Irish. So it's about amplifying naman po the voice of the youth. Thank you po. So sa mga nanonood nito, you have the voice. So just use your platforms para naman po marinig kayo. So ano ba yung main platform natin ngayon? Katulad ng paulit-ulit sinasabi kanina is by mag-register kayo para makaboto. Salamat po, Miss Irish. And last but not the least, Mr. Kevin, for your core advocacy po.
Okay, so regarding my advocacy, it's for the church engagement with the world. Since I work in the academy, so I make my student seminarians aware of the church engagement with the world, especially yung kanyang engagement sa marginalized, especially to the poor and the LGBTQ community. So I publish. I work in the academy na, so medyo ivory tower pa, hindi pa ako masyadong immerse sa social realities, no, and I'm still discerning for my priesthood. Maybe if I become a priest in the future, in the coming years, no. Inaamin ko na I still live in Churi, no, pero I strive my best also to immerse the grounds, no. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. I actually follow Mr. Kevin on his socials and talagang yung advocacies niya about the marginalized and the LGBT community ay talagang nagre-reflect yun sa kanyang mga posts, sa kanyang mga sinashare, and it's really very inspiring. For our next question naman po, very short lang rin po again. If you have any ongoing initiatives po or projects, ano po yung mga yon, and if you can please discuss kahit very, very short lang po. Let's start again with Miss Hannah.
So we have two ongoing projects. The first one is Project BK or Project Bantay Kalusugan. So Project BK, yung sabi ko kanina, Bantay Kalusugan aims to provide access to basic healthcare services. So we conduct trainings in every municipality about basic healthcare services and how to provide basic healthcare para hindi sila laging dadayo sa ospital kung kaya naman nilang i-provide. So it's all about capacitating health workers and sangguniang kabataan leaders in their communities. And second is empower youth leadership camps. And empower youth leadership camp is all about engaging young people for them to be empowered and for them to empower a larger others in their community. So empower, so from the word itself, it aims to empower young people in different thematic areas, depende sa pangangailangan. So kung ang pangangailangan ng municipality na to ay about sa health, so ang focus namin ay health. Kung sa Bulalakaw, kailangan ng environment. Kung dito sa Portugalera, tourism. So nakadepende lagi yung thematic area niya depende sa need ng community. So we have Project Bantay Kalusugan and Empower Youth Leadership Camp. So if you want to volunteer, if you want to be part of our team, you may want to visit Keep Hope Alive on Facebook and Keep Hope Alive PH on Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you, Ate Hannah. Ay, Miss Hannah po wala. Thank you po, Miss Hannah, for your projects po sa pagdi-discuss very shortly ng inyong projects. Now, let's move on naman po to Ate/Miss Rain for your projects/initiatives po ongoing.
Yes, short lang yung answer ko. I'm currently working on establishing the first ever environmental organization in Divine Word College of Calapan. So, ang pangalan ng org namin is Kilos Lantian. I've already invited some members in the organization, but we're still working on it, like the mission, vision, goals, things like that. And hopefully we could officially launch the organization next academic year, maybe.
Thank you, Ate Rain. And next naman po, we have Miss Irish.
Ang current na project or initiative na meron kami, actually the Oriental Mindoro Society of Young Parliamentarians is a policy making and a recommending body. So more on policy and resolution making kami. Sa kasalukuyan, because we find the urgency of this initiative is the nabanggit ko ito kanina dun sa talk ko, Rehistro Mindoreño 2022, makapangyarihan ng rehistradong Mindoreño. Dahil naniniwala kami na tayo bilang mga Mindoreño ay malaki yung kayang iambag sa ating decision making dito sa locality, but also nationally. So we aim to increase the number of registered youth voters in Oriental Mindoro by at least 5% because nakita namin mula sa statistics na marami pa rin mga kabataan ang hindi pa nagre-register, especially out of school youth. Dahil actually 9% ng mga hindi pa or hindi pa nakakapagparehistro ay out of school youth. So we want to reach them out. So what we're going to do starting April is that given the limitations of the pandemic, what we're going to do is that iikot yung organization together with the local government units and in participation and collaboration with our other partner organizations, we are going to have a caravan. So ang gagawin natin ay imbes na yung mga kabataan ang pupunta sa local elections offices nila ay dadalhin natin yung mismong elections officer sa kanilang mga barangay, sa kanilang mga locality, especially those communities na nasa malalayo, nasa in conflict at sa mga out of school youth. So ayun. So kung kayo, ito actually panawagan ko sa ating lahat na kung kayo'y pagod na doon sa mga napapakinggan natin na problema at napagod na rin kayo doon sa mga um, kakaiba, mapangit na napapakita natin sa news, go out and register. And if you cannot do that, we will be there to assist you and we will be going to your communities para kayo mismo ay mag-register. And I hope that Divine Word College will also be an instrument para masabi sa mga kabataan, especially sa college students natin na mag-register kayo. Dahil meron akong isang nakita na isang initiative mula sa isang college instructor. He actually used his platform, his core, his subject, na ang kanyang final requirement is requiring the whole class to register as voters. So sana, challenge ko kayo na pagkatapos itong araw na ito, maybe tomorrow or on Monday, the offices of your elections officer is open 8 to 5 p.m. Magdala lang kayo ng kinakailangan ninyong ID, ballpen, sanitizer, face mask, at lalo tigit pagmamahal sa bayan, register. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Very Irish. Sorry po, medyo lutang na ako. Pero yun po, ang katulad lang ng ni-remind ni Miss Very Irish ay if you want to do something, if pagod ka na, go out and vote. And if you can't go out and vote, they will reach you through their caravan. So maraming salamat po. Lastly, again, we have Mr. Kevin for your ongoing projects or initiatives, kung ano man po yan.
Okay, so far I have I'm busy with my I'm discerning here and with my formation, but I just keep on inspiring my students and if possible to publish if I magagawa ko to publish articles and the like. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Kahit wala naman po tayo mga legit or like, hindi pala legit, like parang concrete na mga projects or initiatives, the mere act of inspiring our students is really a big step na rin po talaga. So thank you po for that. Salamat po sa ating speakers. Before po ako magbigay ng reminders for our Divinistas, we just want to inform you na yun pong mga gifts namin ay isasend na lang po namin after this webinar. And also, yun pong virtual certificate or yung e-certificate po, i-email na lang rin po ng facilitators inyo. So, we'll reach you na lang po, kami po ni Kuya Pipers and Ate Alex, kami na lang po ang kakausap sa inyo for the gifts and certificate po. Maraming salamat po. Ayan, so maraming salamat po again sa mga pag-i-inspire sa community, public service, community, and sa environment po, sa voters ed, and of course, sa Christian faith. Maraming salamat po, Miss Hannah, Miss Rain, Miss Irish, and Mr. Kevin for sa pagpapa-unlock po sa amin dito sa event na to. Before we end, Divinistas, remind ko lang po ang lahat about our last 2 events later this day. Last 2 na po ito, kaya don't forget to attend or watch. Unang-una po natin is the ML tournament. Yun pong ML tournament natin, magde-declare na po tayo through the matches ng champion. Una pong match natin is match runner for 3rd place. Then second match is championship for ML tournament. So, dalawang games po siya. First game is kung sino yung magte-third, and second game, the last game, is kung sino yung magcha-champion. So, 4:30 po siguro yun, 4:30 after this event to 6 p.m. And then our last event ay yun pong online tambayan natin. 7 p.m. onwards po siya. Second episode of the online tambayan DWCC 75th Founding Anniversary Special. Yun pong link po natin sa attendance ay nasa FB Live na po natin. Kinoment na po doon ng secretary. Ang access code po ay makikita po dito. Naka-flash po sa screen natin. Nakalagay po ay conversations that matter. That is capital C, capital T, and capital M. Wala pong space. So that is our access code. And maglo-close po siya ng 4:45 according to our SC secretary. So let's just mag-attendance na lang po tayo agad. I hope that everyone felt inspired like me. Kasi personally, I am very inspired. I feel very empowered. And I hope na kung ano man yung na-realize natin today, ay hindi natin iwan dito sa Zoom na to. At dalhin natin siya araw-araw at isabuhay natin siya araw-araw. Thank you, Divinistas. This has been SIKLAB, the DWCC Speakers Conference, Sparkling Conversations. I am once again your host. Magkikita ulit tayo mamaya, pero this is Yuan Lugmao, ang bubbly bidang president ng School of Education. Thank you and see you later. Again, the access code po is conversations that matter, capital C, capital T, capital M without space. The attendance link will close at 4:45 p.m. Thank you.